Yeah, you read that right. I forgot my bass. So this was for a semi-regular gig at a corner bar in Conshohocken, PA. It's about 30 minutes from my home. I packed all my gear, left for the gig, arrived, started unloading, amp, pedal board, equipment bag, it's all there, no bass. Thankfully, I had arrived 30 or 45 minutes early. This particular bar was known for having really good chicken wings, and I arrived in order to eat before we played. So that buffer time allowed me to drive home, get my bass, come all the way back to the venue, and arrive just before downbeat. Unfortunately, no chicken wings. Ever since that gig, I've gotten a lot better about planning and packing all of my gear for my gigs. And for years, I just used a simple checklist on my phone, which has worked pretty well. I thought that maybe it was time to update the checklist. So now I've got this bad boy here, which I'm going to take you through. And not only includes gear that you need for the gig, but also other essential questions that you need to answer about all the elements of performance that I think you'll find really useful. At the end of the video, I'm going to provide a link where you can download this very checklist and hopefully get some use out of it yourself. So let's go through the different sections. So the first section of the checklist is all about what happens before the gig and your preparation for performance. So how well do you know the music? Can you play through each song from start to finish? Do you know all of your openings and all of your closings, all of your transitions? Do you have all of your vocal parts if you're singing? Do you understand how that's going to work? Do you have any sounds that you need? So I use a pedal board and I need to make sure that those sounds are programmed in. Has that all been accomplished and ready to go? And finally, do you have your charts updated so that your stage performance, if it's taken off track, you can get back on track, you know where you are in each song, and the charts are accurate? That's the first section. So the next part is all about logistics. Easy stuff. Where is the gig? When is the gig? How much am I being paid for the gig? What's my dress code supposed to be? Where am I parking? What's the load-in look like? I can't tell you how many times I've had a gig derailed because of parking and load-in. Making sure that you're, not spending a quarter-mile walk to bring your stuff in, and if you are, you're bringing a cart or a hand truck, any of that kind of stuff. Have you checked the weather? If you're going to be outside, that's obviously going to be an important consideration. So know your logistics. Make sure that you're planning ahead and making sure that anything that comes up, you can resolve it. One of the things I like to do is put the contact number for the venue in my phone and make sure, hey, we can't get a hold of someone, the door's not open. We have somebody we can call and make sure that we resolve that problem. Next section is gear. And you start from most obvious and go down from there. So you have your instrument, right? Do you have a backup instrument? Do you have something to, stand those instruments up on? So I bring two basses with me and I have a dual bass stand. Then you go on to things like your amplification. Are you using an amp for this gig? Are you using in-ears? Do you have your amp cabinets? Do you have the head? Do you have your processing or pedal board? In my situation, I have a pedal board and I make sure that that's all set up. Power cables for everything. That's a great way to screw up a gig. You bring all the right stuff, but you forget a power cable. Every musician I know has a giant bag of stuff. So double checking the bag of stuff, that's got your instrument cables, you've got XLRs, you've got power cables, you've got stuff like your emergency kit, like having an extra set of strings, extra picks, all that kind of stuff. Then you move on to your chart system. Do you have your iPad? Do you have a stand for the iPad? Do you have some kind of lighting at the end of the gig? I played a gig recently where we were outdoors and I couldn't see at the end of the night because it was after dusk. So getting a headlamp or a flashlight, something like that, really useful addition to your gig bag. In a minute, I'll take you through mine and show you all the stuff that comes out, but this is something to think through and make sure that you have a detailed checklist. The next section I like to think of as personal prep. So I want to make sure that I can do the best job possible when showing up to the gig. And for me, that includes making sure that I've gotten enough sleep, that I'm hydrated, that I'm fed. And for me, I eat multiple times a day, so I'll often pack food and bring that to the gig so that if I get jammed, there's nowhere for me to eat. If it's no healthy food, I have a little cooler full of stuff. I make sure that my earplugs are packed. I want to remain safe on stage and keep my hearing. I make sure that my fingernails are cut, right? Stuff like that will jam you on the gig if you're not keeping up on your personal care. So make sure you have a list of these things. Again, your job as a musician is to show up and deliver, and you want to look and feel your best for the gig. Take care of your personal prep. Last piece of the checklist is all about your mindset. And this maybe could even be the most important part, is showing up as a professional, arriving early, being flexible, being easy to work with. These are many of the things that will get you hired or get you called back for gigs. So making sure that you sort of check yourself a little bit when you arrive and you have that team spirit that you need in order to deliver the best performance. Another thing for me specifically that I always tell myself is it's not my job to be a bass wizard on the gig, and really my job is to support the band. So I think about the actual act of playing and trying to play with economy and playing what needs to be played, and inserting, fills and runs and more flashy stuff only when it's appropriate or when it's needed. And that's kind of a constant balance that I'm personally looking for because I want to be the best and most solid bassist that I can be. So making sure that you have just some thought to mindset. Hey, see what I did there? Right? Making sure that that stuff is on your checklist, and as you leave for the gig, you're thinking about that. I think it'll make for a much better performance. When you have this mindset, you often can sink into the performance a little bit more, and you can relax and deliver a better performance. And I think that at the end of the day is the ultimate test of sort of a mutual situation, right? I'm giving to the band is giving back to me, I'm giving to the crowd, they're giving back to me. What a great situation. So make sure you have at least some check on where your head's at before you get to the gig. Okay, as promised, here's my giant bag of crap. Let's see. So this is the bag. It's one of these backpacks. It says Big Sexy because my nickname in CrossFit circles, at least for many years, was Big Sexy because I'm really tall. Anyway, this bag's really nice because it's got a lot of different pockets and a lot of different ways to organize it. When you get into the main kind of guts of the thing, this is some of the stuff that I have in here. I've got extra strings. I have this gaff tape. Surprisingly expensive, this stuff. I have, this is a good story, so I have a pick holder in here. And why is it still in the packaging? Because the last time I played a gig, I left it on my mic stand. And that was in Atlantic City, New Jersey, so that's not coming back. So I had to buy another one of those. All different kinds of cables down here. This red cable is my power cable and probably my most treasured cable. I can't tell you how many times I've had to run extra power, in a pinch to where I am on the stage, and that's really useful. This is a clip-on phone holder for my phone. Sometimes I'll set up my cameras and I will remote control them with this, and that's really useful. Let's see what else is in here. Oh yeah, we got a little drink holder. I generally don't drink beer on stage, but on the rare occasion that I do, it's only at the end of the night. Got half an hour left or something, and then I might crack a 12-ounce beer. I've got all my kind of like charging stuff in there, cables. I have a power brick, some extra cables here, and a bungee cord. And then this is some of my extra, sort of like extra stuff, toothpicks, picks, extra earplugs, some batteries. I've also got in here, again, I mentioned this in the video, I bought this headlamp recently because I needed a flashlight, and I think that's going to make outdoor gigs a little easier to manage. Let's see, on the other side, Sharpies are down here. We got pens. Up in here, let's see, I don't even know what's in here. Nothing on that side. Oh yeah, so I go through these like crazy, and I actually need to refill this. So I wear glasses, and so I have lens wipes. And the lens wipes, a massively underrated piece of gear that I bring with me, and use those literally every gig. And then finally, the most important pocket is probably right here where I keep my earplugs. And typically I'll put my earplugs in there, and then during the gig my keys go in there, so I always know where that stuff is. There's a laptop sleeve on the back that doesn't have my iPad in it, but I would normally have my iPad in there, and that would live there. So, yeah, that's my bag of stuff. Yeah, I'm sure yours looks, something similar. Or hopefully, maybe you could get some ideas out of mine. So that's it. That's my checklist. I hope you found this useful. If you'd like to see a copy and download a copy of what I presented today, I'm going to include a download link below. Just click on that and it'll take you, you can download the thing. For me, this is kind of version 1, and I want to continue to refine this. So would love to know in the comments, or you can email me, hey, you missed A, B, and C. I'm sure that I did. I'm looking at this from a bass player's perspective, and there's probably a lot of other perspectives that could help to make this checklist even better. So let me know what you think. And, as always, happy gigging and take care.